Hey friends, it's UrsulasRevenge and happy Wednesday update day. This week, Arya has returned with another Horses of Jorvik race, though this time it is an Iberian working equitation. You can participate in this race with an Andalusian, a Pacifino, Lusitano, and surprisingly, a Jorvik Warmblood. And of course, any magical horses that exist in these horse breeds. I think Semi, surprisingly, he will be here for 2 weeks this time. I can't remember if he was only here for 1 week last time, or if it was 4. Genuinely do not remember. I know I could just look this up. It looks like the last time he was here for show jumping, he was here for 3 weeks, so it is slightly surprising that he's here for 1 less week. Anyways, let's go head down to the riding arena and check out his race. Hello there, is this riding hall fancy or what? My name is Arya Mistwood and I'm one of the founders of the HRJ Focus Races. HRJ is short for Horses of Jorvik if you didn't know. It's a small organization started a while back in honor of our beautiful horses here on Jorvik. My pals and I host these focus races for specific horse breeds or breeds with similar attributes. We think it's a perfect way for people to meet and bond over their love of their horses. This time we have set up a race inspired by working equitation. To try it out, you must join with a Jorvik Warmblood, Andalusian, Lusitano, or Pacifino. If you want to enter the competition, just come talk to me or grab a friend and start a race by signing up on the notice board here beside me. Okay. I really hope to see you race soon. I know he says this every time, but just in case you didn't know, any race that has a high scoreboard like this, if you join a group with one of your friends and start a race from this high scoreboard, you will do a group race together. So you don't need like a specific quest or anything to do that. You can literally just start a group, start a high score race, and then you'll be able to race with your friends. You can enter this race with Jorvik Warmblood, Andalusian, Lusitano, or Pacifino. Ready? Let's go. Love seeing your horse in action. Feel free to come back here whenever you like, but remember this race won't stay here for long. Okay, so we gotta talk about this race. So first up, this is definitely a race that we've had before. During my roadmap video for this month, I did look into the history of this working equitation. I don't think this one has appeared in a while. It's been a couple of years, but I can tell you for certain that the path is the same as what we've had before. The obstacles have been updated though, and they're a little bit more fitting for like the Silverglade Equestrian Center and like Horses of Jorvik being a little bit more prestigious than it was previously. Overall, the obstacles just genuinely look nicer. I noticed this the last time too when we had the Horses of Jorvik at Jorvik Stables with show jumping, but the jumps and the obstacles don't do that normal like click or like that little like success noise when you've passed through an obstacle. So it's a little jarring every time I pass an obstacle and I think that I've gotten it and I don't hear that click. I think I've missed it. So I look around, but sure enough, I've gotten it. So that's a little bit weird. I don't know if that's because the race is being recycled and I genuinely cannot remember if there was ever a time there was no sound when you made it through an obstacle. I know back in the original Star Stable season games, there was a sound, so I'd be surprised if they took that away only to give us a different sound. I know that we've had a couple different sounds over the years, but I can't recall if we've ever had no sound. Anyways, I don't know if that's just like a side effect of it being a old reinstanced race even with new obstacles. There was a single or maybe 2 obstacles that did have the click ping sound that you've succeeded, and I know one of them was the bell, so I'm wondering if that just has something to do about like assets or something that are reused. I have no idea because I don't make games, but it's just very interesting that the sound only works on like 1 obstacle, and it's happened at least twice with Arya races, so I don't know. Overall, the Horses of Jorvik races is not usually my favorite update, I don't exactly like that it's limited to only a couple of horses. I understand that that's literally the point, but there's only a few HOJ races that actually recycle, and I feel like we're getting a lot of the same ones over and over. I don't know if they're planning to do this every month or if they're just using Jorvik to fill out weeks where they just need an extra week of something for us to do. Because remember, a couple blog posts ago where they said that they have a lot of different initiatives that have like flexible deadlines versus ones with hard deadlines. And we know that a new festival Summer Days is coming soon. I'm wondering if they just simply didn't have the resources to give us something like new this week, so they just reinstanced HOJ with new obstacles and said, okay, it's only a week, it'll be fine. Honestly, that is fine if that's the case, but I can see this being annoying if it's too regular. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to say about Horses of Jorvik. So again, if you have any of the horse breeds he needs, Lusitano, Pacifino, Andalusian, Jorvik Warmblood, you can do this race. It'll be here for 2 weeks. You get extra experience. It's a boosted experience for those horse breeds. Or if you have all of those breeds trained, what you can do is run the race with one of those breeds. Don't complete the quest with Guillermo. Instead, you're going to grab the horse that you do have to train and then go talk to him so the experience goes on that horse instead. So there is a little workaround if you maybe have trained up all those horses. You don't need to buy a new horse just to do this race. You can put the experience on a different horse. Next up, if you haven't gotten the pink dragon pet from the Invite a Friend program, you're in luck because you can now purchase them in the game. Over at the medieval camp area, you can go to the pet shop, the Beast Slayer, and here you should find the pink dragon pet Blush. This is what she looks like. She's adorable. Basically, the dragon model, just bright pink, Star Stable pink. She'll be in the shop for 450 star coins, the same price as the other dragon pets. That said, if you don't want to spend the star coins, you can still get the pink dragon pet for free if you follow through with the Invite a Friend program. Now, how you do that to actually get the dragon pet is you need to actually invite someone. Could be an additional account that you have, or could be an actual friend who has never played Star Stable before, or at least doesn't have an account or wants to create a new account. When you give them your friend code from the Invite a Friend page on the website, they're going to log into Star Stable and put it in on their Invite a Friend page, and then you can see their progress. As they get to level 12, your friend will unlock rewards in the game. I believe when I did it, it was part of the chai latte set. I don't know if that's changed. I'm assuming it's still the same. And then once they reach level 12, you, the inviter, gets the pink dragon pet. The invitee does not. If they want the pink dragon pet, they're going to have to invite somebody else, and it's just going to be a chain. That said, if you don't want to do all of that, you can, of course, just buy them for 450 star coins. The Invite a Friend feature is still currently active and available, though for the time being. They were a little bit vague about that. We don't know if the Invite a Friend program is going to go away. I'm not sure if the Invite a Friend program is just going to be limited time and they'll bring it back every once in a while, or if maybe they'll change out the rewards. I know this was vague originally too, but either way, it is still here for at least a little bit longer, so if you do still want to get the dragon pet for free, you can still utilize the Invite a Friend feature. Now, the last bit in the news is a reminder that it is the last week for the Trailblazer track. So if you haven't already, make sure to complete the Trailblazer track, or at least get as far as you can. Unlock the rewards that you want, especially if you've unlocked things and you haven't accepted them. Make sure to do that before the end of next week. So by Tuesday night, you should have everything you want. As a reminder, to figure out how many points you need per day to complete the Trailblazer track is you take the amount of points that you've accumulated, that's your level essentially, times 1,000 plus whatever is on your progress bar. Subtract that from 34,000 and then divide that number by how many days you have remaining. So in this case, 6. I guess it is technically 7. And then that'll get you how many points you need per day. There's no more bonus point days, so just make sure you get your 1,410 points by doing basically your 12 daily tasks, and then maybe consider running around Hollowwoods and just collecting a ton of light. That'll probably be your best way to get a bunch of points quickly. Unfortunately, if you have slept on the Trailblazer track and you haven't started until right now, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to complete it. But you can at the very least just get as far as you can and try to collect a couple of rewards. If you've missed any of the rewards by the end of the Trailblazer track, they will not be gone forever. They'll just be on like a 6-month exclusive little vacation. So come November, they will be added to the game again. So you will still have a chance to get them and buy them in the game. You just won't get them for free for doing the Trailblazer track. So that is all that's in the news, but it is not the last thing that I want to talk about, because we have a few things to talk about, both with the future of Star Stable, both some spoilers as well as some confirmed things coming soon in Star Stable. So if you don't want any spoilers, this might be the end of the video for you. But if you do, stick around. The first bit of spoiler content that I want to talk about, and I know I've mentioned this a little bit already, is that we can expect a new champion ranks sometime soon. So looking at the champion schedule board and clicking champion ranks, we have some updates in the champion ranks menu. So a couple of weeks ago, all we had was just the name of the champion ranks and the ribbons. So this new champion ranks will be themed to Summer Fun, but we also know what the shapes of the ribbons are. So these will be the new shapes of the ribbons. Also, thank you for pointing this out to me, but in addition to the spoilers from last week with the magical horses, which actually have a release date now, we're going to see them by the end of next month, which is so exciting. So a month from now, we will have 2 new magic horses, which I'm so excited for. But the ribbon is also called Butterfly Moth. So if we know that we're getting Butterfly Moth horses by the end of next month, we can assume also that this new champion ranks will happen sometime in the next month, which was kind of already obvious considering the ribbons and the champion ranks have already been slightly updated. Now we still can't click the question mark, which may give us a little spoiler to what these ribbons look like. And I do know the ribbons have been leaked, but I almost don't even want to spoiler those until they're like officially kind of spoiled in the game itself. I'm genuinely thinking that we're probably going to get this champion ranks in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about why in a little bit, but I don't think we're going to have to wait long at all to see what these ribbons actually look like. If you want to track down the spoilers, you can. But again, I think I'm just going to wait to show you at least until they're officially spoilered in the game. The other future forward news content that I have for Star Stable is actually in the form of an extra May blog post. So I want to say this was sometime last week. We got a new blog post that was detailing kind of what's been going on with the retrofitting process. So I read through this last week and I did kind of like my little detailed thoughts of this on my Instagram stories. If you don't follow me there, I do post like extra Star Stable stuff. So like anything that I see in the news or like codes, I'll share immediately on Instagram. And that's also where I post like my roleplay content. So if you're interested in that, that is on Instagram. But anyways, I went through and I gave my thoughts in my stories. And I think they intended for this to be like a little kind of like hype driven, but the way that it was also written almost made me feel like a little gentle nudge to be like, hey, meter your expectations, because all of the stuff we're showing you is probably not going to appear in game anytime soon, if ever. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, that this is a big exercise in metering your expectations, because again, at this point, it's Star Stable's favorite game show. So this extra blog post talks about the new Tack system, which is essentially what they're calling the retrofitting process. So let's break this article down bit by bit. This article introduces the new Tack system that they've been developing since the retrofitting process. The goal of this project is to make it so they don't need to necessarily retrofit horses individually. Instead, they create specific meshes for their tack pieces that they can essentially just draw new textures for, but once the meshes fit to a horse, they'll never have to touch it again. Over the years, as their horses have gotten more unique, more detailed, and their animations have varied among the different breeds, this process has been very individualized for the horses. It's not one size fits all, and what's clipping on one horse might not clip on another, so they do have to be edited manually for each individual horse breed. This new system, however, is to eliminate that. At the end of last year, it was communicated that they were planning on having all Gen 3 horses retrofitted by summer 2025. They ended, I want to say, like December, saying like, hey, Jorvik Warmblood is going to be the last one individually retrofit. Come summer, everything's going to be done. That is no longer the case, and they're not going to give us an actual time frame for when all of the horses will actually be done. I understand why they're doing that, but it's still disappointing. So basically what we were told 5 or 6 months ago, where they said, hey, no more batches, we're doing them all at once, we're getting this all over with, they are going back to a batch system, which means that we're going to be getting more retrofit horses, again, in batches, unfortunately. At this point, it's also worth saying that they are making a distinction between the previous retrofitting process and this new tax system. Instead of saying they are retrofitting horses, they are now saying they are porting horses to the new tax system. Now, as far as why this whole thing has gotten slightly delayed, I'm going to read this part verbatim from the article because I don't want to interpret it wrong. The new system is based on having a few custom tweaks per horse as possible, allowing us in the art craft to quickly set up new pieces of tack or adjust placement on older pieces. This means changing placement is done per horse, but will affect all of that type of tack on that horse. And some tweaks to the meshes, for example, will affect all horses. For this instance of their testing, they have focused on 3 particular breeds. They have not told us which, but from the pictures it looks like Irish Cob may be one of them. The 3 breeds that they've chosen have wildly different attributes according to them, mostly to test the system to its limits. I am curious if this also means that, like, let's say they're looking at the Irish Cob. If they fit to the Irish Cob and they maybe have to do, I can't think of another big horse that hasn't been, oh, like the Clydesdale. I don't remember if that one's been retrofitted or not. But let's say they have the Irish Cob, they retrofit that, and next they have to do the Clydesdale. I'm wondering if that makes it a little bit easier because they already have a reference of having it done on a bigger horse model before. So I'm curious if choosing 3 distinct breeds with different attributes will also help in that case to help speed up that process as well. So in my professional work as a packaging designer, we've done this a couple of times where, let's say we are redoing a box layout or a new packaging design, but we're revamping the whole system. We'll take a couple different sizes with a couple different, we call them tiers, but ones that have more features versus less features because that affects how much space you have on the box. So we'll take a couple different ones that have basically a wide variety of options. So one with a smaller box overall, one with a bigger box overall, and one with a lot of features and one with a little bit of features. Because making them in those versions will help make my job a little bit easier when it comes to doing the entire line of 52 things. It's not perfectly one for one, step and repeat, where I can take exactly what I've done and just copy it to everything else. There is still adjustment that needs to happen with each and every box, but the hard thinking work is already done if I've got my test pieces. So I'm wondering if the game development also works similarly. Anyways, we're reaching the part of the article which I really need to remind you to meter your expectations because they've shared some experimental new tack that they are hoping to add. However, there is no plan for a future release for these items. It is literally just examples for them to kind of see what it would look like. There's no date, so please keep that in mind. So one of the things that this is going to open the door for is potentially new tack types. However, this is a big however. Retrofitting or porting, all of the horses is not the only limiting factor for us getting new tack slots on our horse. So yes, while they've showed models of horse blankets and they've shown models of, I don't know what it's called, but it's this little front harness thing on the horse, that does not necessarily mean it's coming anytime soon because other things need to change before that's able to be implemented. Namely, a character sheet overlay. They are limited to how many slots we are able to put on our horse until they do that. The same reason why we can't wear glasses and earrings at the same time, because the character sheet needs to be overhauled and revamped. So maybe once they port all the horses, maybe the next plan will be to work on the character sheet. Who knows if it's a different team that's got other priorities or if it's the same team that they have to get through this priority first before they work on the next one. Only Star Stable knows that. And it seems like this porting process is going to be a while still. So that said, it's not stopping them from creating new meshes for things that already have slots on our character horse menu. So they did tease a new saddle mesh that is in progress that we could see on horses that have already been ported, because this new system will make it easier for them to create different meshes for pieces that already exist. So bridles, saddles, saddle pad, saddle bags, leg wraps, those kinds of things. When they do release new meshes for existing tack slots, they will only be testing them on a handful of breeds. This will speed up their process And since it's already been done, it should just kind of work seamlessly across different horses. However, they did say that when new meshes release, if we notice any weird glitches on specific breeds, to report them, because they'll have to go in and test those horses as well. They don't expect any major issues though, so it should be fine. Should. So again, overall, the takeaways are retrofitting is canceled, porting is our new best friend. All of the horses will not be done by this summer. However, we are getting a new batch of 3 horses soon. And then the rest will follow in batches throughout the years. And we're gonna go back to that last part that I said. We are getting 3 new ported horses soon. So soon, in fact, that it is next week. Because that is the teaser message that we have for coming next week. And I do want to point out that they called it retrofitting here too. So much for the internal verbiage change. I guess it is still called retrofitting, but either way, retrofitting, porting, whatever you want to call it. First batch is here next week. That's going to be 3 horses. Probably Irish Cob. I don't know the other 2. I tried to look at the pictures, but I couldn't really discern which ones haven't already been retrofit and which ones still need to from the pictures. So I'm really hoping that the Belgian is on that list, because 1, it's a different size profile than the Irish Cob, and 2, we are getting a magical horse for the Belgian soon. I also love the Belgian, like, underrated horse model. If it gets retrofitted, it is over for the Dutch Warmblood, at least in my opinion. I know everybody loves the Dutch Warmblood, and I do like the Dutch Warmblood, but I think I like the Belgian just slightly more. So it wasn't in the teaser text, but I double checked the next up in Jorvik from, I guess, this month. And on June 4th, we have an update titled Treasure Hunt. Captain Waterloo is sensing trouble. There seems to be some suspicious going on around the beaches of Jorvik. Something about crabs and pearls. Maybe he's just overreacting. Again. We also don't really know anything about that, but it seems like we're going to be getting some sort of, like, maybe minor quest line with Captain Waterloo at Fort Pinta. I don't know if it's, like, maybe a precursor quest for Summer Days. I don't know, but I'm assuming that's coming soon. If you've watched CC Creations' recent video about the 2 new magic horses, they are for sale at the beach, and it looks like a little beach event is going on behind them. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next up in Jorvik is detailing all of the stuff that's going to be happening at Summer Days. That is my guess. That is my theory. It feels pretty solid, especially since we're also getting new champion ranks that are summer themed. And it's also in June, so I'm wondering if this is truly going to be the death of Rainbow Festival, or at least Cloud Kingdom, and just roll it into Summer Days. And I mean, that would happen during June, just saying. So anyways, I feel like I've been talking too long. Have I been talking too long? I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video like this. I do try to cover every Wednesday update and more. Also worth noting that blog post we talked about was an extra May blog post, and May ends at the end of this week. So maybe we get another May blog post soon. I don't know what it would be about. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm surprised that wasn't just the May blog post. It was an extra. So I guess we'll find out more possibly the end of this week, maybe sometime next week. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!